Have you ever told yourself that you'll write later, like after you finish that training, or you do a little more research, or you organize your desk, or your office, you unclutter your office? All that feels like being responsible, right? Because you're learning, you're preparing, you're planning, you're organizing, but you're still not writing. My friend, that's not preparation. That's something that's called productive avoidance. And it's a sneaky form of procrastination because it feels like progress, it feels like purpose, but really it's just circling around the work that God has called you to do. Hi, I'm Shonda Whitworth, and I am a Christian nonfiction writing coach, and I help authors conquer overwhelm and finish their manuscripts so that they can release the books that God has called them to write. You know, the New York Times said that 81% of the people want to write a book, but only actually 6% ever finish a manuscript, and only 1% actually publish. Well, I am here to help you join the 1%. All right, back to being busy but not productive. That's not lazy. That's just being stuck in this productive avoidance cycle. And today we're going to talk about how you can actually break that pattern and build some momentum just 1% at a time. All right, so let's be honest. As writers, we are probably the kings and queens at staying busy at everything but writing. All right. There's this drawer that needs cleaned out, the closet that needs to be organized, um, notes to take, research to do, more training to take, and we just convince ourselves it's being productive. But in reality, we're not showing up and doing the writing. That avoidance, that type of avoidance, it feels like we're moving. It feels like we're doing, because we are doing, but we're not doing the thing. And it keeps us close enough to our dream that we feel like we're finding purpose, but it keeps us far enough away from it that we risk not completing the project. And in that moment, we feel safe. We feel like we're working on our book. But let's be honest, we're delaying obedience. And when we're delaying the obedience, we're delaying progress. Well, in my research, all right, I found this guy named Anthony Trollope. Anthony Trollope. And he lived in the 1800s. He worked for the British Postal Service. And even though he had a full-time job, do you know how many books he wrote? He wrote 47 books. And how did he do it? He did it every morning before he went to work. He sat down and wrote 250 words in 15 minutes. He didn't wait for inspiration. He didn't ask for the right conditions. He didn't need quiet music. He didn't need to get inspired. He didn't put um, the right mood. All right. He made time for it. He showed up and he wrote faithfully. And then when his timer rang, he stopped and he went to work. So here's what I love about that. He didn't wait for inspiration to find him. He wrote until, oh wait, let me rephrase that. He didn't write when he felt inspired. He wrote until inspiration found him. All right, so I messed that up when I first said it, so let me say it again. He did not write when he felt inspired. He wrote until inspiration caught up with him. All right, that's called discipline, my friend. That's called faithfulness in motion. And that's the kind of consistency that God blesses, all right? These regular, small, steady steps. What can that look like for you? 15 minutes, like Anthony Trollope did, that's 1% of your day. 1%. You want to be in the 1%? Then let's start with 1% of your day. Commit 1% of your day to your writing. You don't need to schedule an all-day retreat. You don't, which those are fine. You don't need to schedule a cabin in the woods to unplug, though that's fine. Those are legit ways of completing your project. But I'm telling you, 1%, 15 minutes of focused obedience will move you farther ahead than putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, and then going cramming for a weekend away in a cabin in the woods. All right? Just 15 minutes. So here's how you do it. We all have timers on our phone. All right? Set a timer for 15 minutes and then put your phone on do not disturb so you don't get the notifications and the text messages and the emails and every little ding, 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 ding that comes up on your phone. It's so distracting. So set a timer. If you need to, put your phone in a different room and get an old-fashioned timer and set the timer. All right? No distractions, no notification, just you and your computer. And make sure you close all your windows so that you're not looking at anything else either, just your document. All right. And write without researching, write without editing. And when you're tempted to look something up because you're like, oh, yeah, I had a website open for this, or oh, yeah, I had some research done on this, and you want to go look at something, just type a bracket, put research this later, close the bracket, then highlight it in yellow and keep going. All right. Research this later, keep going. Just let your mind keep rolling. And then at the end of the 15 minutes, when the timer goes off, if you're in the middle of a sentence, leave it right there. Because you know what? Ending mid-sentence allows your brain to pick up where you left off when you start the next day. So let me tell you, my friend, blank pages don't win, but showing up imperfectly on a consistent basis, that's how you win. And if you faithfully give God 1% of your day, He will multiply. Those are seeds that are being sown, seeds that are being sown. And God is the Lord of the harvest. He'll bring in the harvest. He'll allow those words to start flowing. Those words will begin to flow through you. You wonder how people said, oh, it felt like the Holy Spirit was riding through me. The Holy Spirit writes through believers when we show up to write. But if we're waiting to go sit down to write till some kind of magical moment happens, we're not anywhere where we're near going to capture it. That moment may happen, but we may not capture it in words. All right. So, but also I know that the Holy Spirit shows up when we sit down and we start putting our fingers on the keyboard. The Holy Spirit shows up. It says in Proverbs 16:9, we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. Here's the thing, my friend. If we're not stepping or we're not typing, He has nothing to direct. If we keep waiting for that clarity, that aha moment, that perfect time, the perfect type of energy, the perfect words to say, clarity's not going to come. Clarity comes when we move. Clarity comes when we start stepping. God can't steer a parked car, but He can direct a writer who's typing. All right. So He can't direct a writer who's not typing. So if we're cleaning out that closet, yeah, we may get some ideas, and it's good to capture those ideas on a voice recorder, and it's great to do that. But when we show up to write, because writers show up to write, and our fingers are tapping on the keyboard, God will meet you there. He meets us there in the middle of it. All right. Believe it or not, sometimes we don't even feel like He meets us there. I mean, I've released some of what I thought was the worst content I ever released, but then it's the kind of content that got the most comments. All right. So when we start moving our fingers on the keyboard, God will meet you there. All right. So here's this challenge for you this week. Commit to giving God 1% of your day. That's just 15 minutes for your writing because God's called you to write. That's why you're listening to this channel. God's called you to write, but you know you want clarity on how to write. So just give 15 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to feel like you even know where you're going. And commit to doing it for at least 7 days and see what happens. I want to hear what happens. You do this for 7 days. I want to hear what happens. So if you're in, please drop it in the comments. Tell me when your 15-minute writing time will be. Are you a morning person? Like Anthony did it before he went to work? Are you going to do it on at lunch? You're going to do it in the evening? When are you going to do it? I would love to cheer you on. So leave a comment. I'd love to cheer you on. And will you do me a favor? And if you're getting some stuff from this video, will you please subscribe? So that way you'll be alerted to when the next video is going to come out. In the next video, I'm going to talk about distraction and how you can protect your focus so that you can actually finish your book. Because blank pages doesn't win, showing up does. And that, my friend, is how you rise to the 1%.